Welcome to the Brown Boy Wonder podcast. It is episode 3 of Blind Ranking. Yes, we're going to blind these people. I'm sorry, we're going to rank these people blindly. Thank you. But let me introduce my guest here. You should know him from the last time I talked to him with the interview. He is the one and only Jake Prince. Jake Prince, how you doing today, man?
Alhamdulillah, good. How are you? Thank you for having me back on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And my second guest, I've had him on the pod for a while, but I'm glad he's here. He is the AEW's purist, Azam. Azam, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me. And Jake, what's poppin'?
Hey, man, I'm just ready to dice it up, chop it up with you, with both of you guys, actually.
Let's go.
Sure. Well, we are gonna rank these 5. So you guys have 5 categories, and each category is different, of course. But you guys are gonna be a tag team, so you guys have to agree on these rankings.
Ooh, so this is going to be a little different because a wrestler point of view is a lot different than a spectator point of view. I think, it's clear as day, so it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's actually something I take quite seriously because in anything that I do, I don't like to be the armchair guy. So I always analyze things from a fan perspective. I can't for a moment pretend, that I was a wrestler or anything. So yeah, no armchair analysis.
And I respect that. I for sure respect that.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm gonna, just for fun in the chat, I'm gonna post a picture of the wrestler or the thing, maybe, just to have a reference. Of course, you guys know these wrestlers, but it's just good to see how they look like. The first, oh yeah, by the way, before we get into it, what is y'all's tag team name?
We're gonna be the the Rancid Rankers.
Sounds good to me.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
The Rancid Rankers. Although I should say that that's a pun because unlike some other wrestling fans and wrestling endurers, we do not stink. We're not rancid.
I see. Well, the first category the topic is current WWE Women Wrestlers. All right, the first name is Chelsea Green.
Matt Cardona's wife.
Yes, where you rank her out of 5?
Out of 5?
Okay, so are we encompassing like entire presentation, like character and in-ring skill?
Oh, is your preference? Yeah, anything.
Okay. I'm gonna let Jake start on this one because I got to think a little bit. So,
so I don't think it's any secret that she's like not there yet, but she's still like working her way up. So I have to give her like a solid 3.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of larger than life women's wrestlers in WWE, and they all
and characters in general, no doubt.
And they've all made it, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a fan of Chelsea Green because I think she's hilarious. Like, I think she's nailed the character work down like to a T. Like she's genuinely like one of the funniest women's wrestlers, and one of the funniest wrestlers overall, right? But just character work isn't probably going to get her, higher on the list. So I think maybe to play it safe, we should probably do 4. Because think of it, we're talking women's wrestlers in WWE, right? We could have Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. We could have, and this is active roster, Abrar?
Yes, current WWE Women Wrestlers.
Okay,
current modern day.
Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch. I mean, that's like already 4 people that could potentially be higher than Chelsea Green.
So, yeah, I mean,
I'd say maybe even 5. I don't know, but you got to be careful with it.
Low, but it's a little low, but I could see.
I don't think that means Chelsea Green sucks by any means. It's just that the competition could potentially. That's the whole point. Blind ranking. So
that's fair.
But I guess, I mean, if you're cool with 4, we could put her at 4.
I was gonna say we're kind of neck and neck, so why the hell not?
Okay.
Sounds like you guys are putting Chelsea Green on 4. All right. The next superstar or wrestler is Io Sky.
Ooh. Okay.
I feel like she's been used like pretty poorly as of late, and by no means is it her fault. I just think that she has a little more work to do, and she needs a little more creative direction. So I would definitely have to put her on 5 just so she can, at least have a good set storyline that can help her elevate to main event status.
Yeah, I'm okay with 5 too. Because I think Io Sky, like, I mean, this is a common criticism of WWE that I've had forever, is that they just kind of loop people into a tag team that don't really they don't match look wise, they don't match energy wise. It's just like, okay, you got nothing to do with sitting and catering, you're going to be a tag team, right? And they had a trio for a bit, right? There was Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Bailey, right?
Yeah.
They were a trios. So, like, I mean, right off the bat, you have like 3 different types of characters, 3 different types of wrestlers put into a trio, and just kind of walking around as a Mean Girls like bully club. It seems like kind of shoehorned, and the booking could be way better because Io Sky has a talent for sure, but because they haven't showcased her, like if she was in like an Asuka type role or like a Rhea Ripley type of role where she's like a lone wolf character that's like murders people, then she'd be way higher. But I think 5 makes sense here.
I was gonna say though, don't rule out the Oddities tag team, because I feel like that's what makes a tag team so great. It's just 2, different people being paired together. I mean, look at Goldust and Booker T. Like their character work was like excellent, and they definitely complemented each other's character styles, each other's wrestling styles, and they flat out entertained. So that's one thing I'll say as a wrestler is just don't rule out their oddities, the differences, because I felt like Booker T and Goldust are like 2 great examples, or maybe one great example as a tag team.
I think another weird example is also Brian and Kane when they were a tag team. That was
an entertaining tag team.
Really good storytelling.
Also, don't forget, there's another one. It was just on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Sheamus and Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli.
The bar.
That was an oddity to me. I didn't think it was an odd pairing. I thought they were just 2 tall brolic guys from Europe that whooped ass, basically, right? I don't think that was super.
Or the Rock and Mankind.
Rock and Mankind is probably peak weird. Yeah. Peak weird.
Yeah, but they made it work.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that like when you notice all the above that we named oddity tag teams that did work, they were 2 established people. Like we'd already established that they were bona fide stars, right? Like whatever Goldust, Booker T, Rock Mankind, Bryan Danielson and Kane, right? Like, but I think for people who are still just like not there yet, like they haven't held like a major world championship,
they weren't well developed.
On the main roster. Like, it doesn't, that throwing them in a tag team just kind of seems like a cop out, especially when you have like more than 2 hours on TV to showcase them. It's a problem that I think a lot of companies suffer from, like lack of TV time and just like so many people on the roster. But yeah, go on.
I will say WCW did not lack in, I'd say, the idea of pairing Steve Austin and Brian Pillman as the Hollywood Blondes. And, as a wrestler, I want to emulate, like if I were to be a heel, for some of you guys that don't know what heel means, it means bad guy. As a bad guy, those are definitely 2 guys, 1 tag team that I would emulate in myself, is that brash, young guy beating on the, the babyface, the good guy, veteran, or maybe, a younger good guy or whatever, something of the sort. But, obviously what I have to say there is they definitely messed up by breaking them up. But, I think, that random pairing can be a blessing. But to your point, Azam, it could be a mistake to pair certain people up that don't have any business pairing. But yeah.
Yeah, so 5?
I'm hearing a 5. All
definitely 5.
All right, that's kind of crazy to me, but the Queen of the Sky, Io Sky, gets a 5. The next wrestler is Azam. You should know her. You read her book. It's the man, Becky Lynch.
Number one,
no questions
dog.
asked.
Number one.
Oh man, I can't believe we agreed on that one.
Easy work, dude.
I don't even have to explain it. I don't know about you, but I don't even have to. But I will say, I love how Rock incorporated, her in the storyline, just even by mention.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the book is amazing. Like, you got to read her book.
I need to read it. I need to get it.
I'm pretty sure it's on sale on Amazon. It might be like $17 for the hardcover, but plug here. I love the book so much. It honestly,
keep that in mind.
It showcased like just the journey that she'd been on, dude. She was like in Japan in the early 2000s, right? And like,
yeah.
Just like no one really knows that, right? People just know her as like the man character. That's really when she blew up, I guess, mainstream. But yeah, honestly, like I don't think current locker room, like if you're talking like GOAT status, like I think she's like the only person currently that had done the time and being an in-ring like general, right? Like I think Charlotte also is also GOAT status, but I think that Becky Lynch for the I mean even for blind ranking I don't even care, like I know she's number one.
Well, sounds like you guys agree on Becky Lynch, the man, number one. Let me write that down. All right. You guys have one more left, or pretty much once you guys rank this one, the other one is, of course, ranked itself. But the next wrestler, women's wrestler of the WWE currently, I don't know if you guys are going to feel the glow, Naomi.
Okay.
I will say two. I definitely think it's fair to say two, because I think she still has time to, build herself up to be in a place of prominence to Becky. Not only because she's, married to, John or Jimmy Fatu or Jimmy Uso, but because, she has shown that like she has that Samoan blood, not even by blood, but just by marriage and, having that talent. I believe that she just, needs that time to be in that locker room leader, veteran spot. Even though she is there, but she's not like at a Becky status yet.
I'm a pretty big fan of Naomi. The character is like, it
should have never left in 2017. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, like, I mean, when she was working as Trinity in TNA, I watched every match that she did. Like that, she got me into TNA. Like, and like, dude, I had this like this hater mentality of like, oh, people that only work like WWE style like can't hang in like other companies. So I always look out for them to prove me wrong, right? Like I want to be a fan of you, prove me wrong, right? And dude,
that
she
is
could work,
tribalism.
bro.
You got to admit like, that is tribalism when people say that.
Yeah, but I guess what that means to say is that like, I mean, what we know for a fact is that the Performance Center teaches wrestling in a way different, mentality than, say like the top 5 wrestling schools. The top 5 wrestling schools, even if they're in 5 different states and taught by 5 different wrestlers, are more similar to each other than they are to like WWE style, right? So I would say that like just to know that you can go out there and hang with people that have grinded it out and stuff, it just shows that like you're a performer's performer, right? And like also the caliber of being the draw, right? Can you draw? And I think that to have someone like me, start paying for TNA on the YouTube subscription or whatever to watch her, on pay-per-views and stuff and on TV, like she's a draw, right? Like her,
for sure.
Like people were curious and like I feel like their needs were like satisfied. She was like, I guess to a fan of just wrestling in general, I think she was phenomenal. I loved the work that she did. So we're stuck between 2 and 3. What'd you say, Jake?
I would say she belongs at 2.
At 2, okay.
Yeah, your remaining numbers are 2 and 3.
2 and 3. I'm okay with 2, but I'm gonna feel like crazy if like there's like a total stinker that we end up putting at 3. You know, I'm sorry, or like someone that's a total like like that objectively better than Trinity or Naomi that ends up at 3. But screw it, we'll put it at 2.
I will say Naomi.
Put her at 2.
I will say Naomi. You better add me back on Snapchat soon, because I actually added her because I found out what her Snapchat was, and I don't know how much she posts on it, but it's like I hope she's one of those superstars that'll add me back. Who knows? Fingers crossed. But
hopefully,
that's a discussion for another day.
Well,
hoping that happens for you.
Let's run down the list here. You guys gave number 1 to Becky, number 2 to Naomi, number 4 to Chelsea Green. Oh, sorry, Chelsea Green.
Oh man, she would have kicked your ass if
I know.
She heard you say it's so boring.
I know. I apologize, Chelsea.
Hey, sorry, Chelsea. I looked out for you.
Chelsea Green is the number 4. Number 5, you guys gave Io Sky number 5, and for number 3, it will be Mommy Rhea Ripley.
No.
Oh. No. I feel bad now because she actually does belong at number 2.
Yeah.
Man, you're so unfair. I swear.
It's blind. You gotta be blind about this. But
I was gonna say the host planned it. We didn't plan it.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I will say the only saving grace that we have having her at 3 is that she's probably younger in her career than Naomi is. So
that's definitely
just on like
grace.
veteranship. The veteranship. I guess then this list does sort of make sense. So we're still okay. We're not horrible here.
Absolutely.
But it's not terrible. I don't feel as bad now, so I know that might sound like a dick thing to say, but
well, our next category is current AEW Men Wrestlers. Azam, you were at Azam, you're at Grand Slam Dynamite. How was that?
Dude, yeah, Dynamite and Collision. I mean, Grand Slam is always a spectacle, dude. It was so dope. I gotta say, like, I'm not gonna ruin Collision because it comes out tomorrow. And admittedly, I haven't been keeping up with Collision too much, but this is like a must-watch show. The matches were insane. Like they definitely went out more. Like for example, when Dynamite went on the air, there was no pyro. It was a cold open. But Collision, they went like nuts. Like they really presented it like in a way that you got to watch it. The matches were awesome, especially the 2 matches that I would say were great. Were what's it called? There was a Saraya's Rules match with Saraya versus Jamie Hayter. Fantastic. Like stole the show. And then the super, super fun match was Jeff Jarrett and Hangman Lumberjack Strap match. Lumberjack Strap match. That's so hard to pronounce. That was insane.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah. That was insane. So Collision was awesome. Grand Slam is always great.
Awesome. Well, let's get into this category here. Current AEW Men Wrestlers. The first person is, you should know him. Well, I don't know. Maybe. He is Mr. Aussie, Will Ospreay.
Number 1.
Oh.
Number 1.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's the best wrestler in the world.
In the world, yeah, but in the promotion overall, though. I feel like it's a little soon.
I see it as like a sliding scale, right? So like we're talking currently, right? So
yes,
I would say that, I mean, you could alternate number 1 between Swerve, Hangman, and Ospreay, right?
Yeah.
I think Kenny Omega has been out with diverticulitis. He's not coming back for a couple more months.
And we wish you a speedy recovery. Inshallah, Kenny Omega.
My GOAT, please get well soon. And then Bryan Danielson is also there. So, but I just think that, like, dude, I've been to I'm so spoiled. I've been to so many Ospreay live matches, and the dude just steals the show every single time in any single scenario he's put in. Right? He does not put up a stinker whatsoever. It's impossible, right? And the crowd reactions are just insane. Like This guy could work with anyone. I think that if not number one, and maybe assuming maybe if Danielson is on this list, then we could put Ospreay at 2. That would still be cool. But I would say just 1. Like I'm betting all my chips on Ospreay.
Ooh, that's a risky one. I felt like Ospreay and AEW needs a little more growth in order to get into championship status. I mean, he did very much beyond redeem himself in the indies. And yeah, I would definitely have to put him at 3.
So we could compromise and put him at 2. That would be
okay. Let's compromise it. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 and 3. So it ends up being 2 in the middle. But I mean, Ospreay is a champion. He's the international champion. And
he's a rightful champion, no doubt.
He's one of those guys that like doesn't need the belt, right? He has that aura. So like when the time comes, it'll just be right. You know, nothing needs to be forced. Because I feel like if Ospreay came into the picture and immediately won the belt off of Swerve, I actually would have been pissed. And I've been a fan of Ospreay since before AEW too. So like I'm like, yo, like this guy. I mean, even though he is the best wrestler in the world, like I don't think you need to, just put him in that spotlight right now. He can carry the mid card and like elevate everybody else along with him, right? So I guess in 2, then we could put him at 2. I was just fanboying, staying at 1. But yeah,
I was gonna say favoritism, fanboy, whatever you want to call it.
All right. Well, Mr. Will Ospreay is number 2. The next guy, he is very nice, very evil, Mr. Danhausen.
Oh man,
see Danhausen. Danhausen is like 30 feet tall and like 3,000 pounds, so you got to be number 1, right? I'll be honest. He's straight 5. Like he hasn't done anything in AEW.
Well, besides handing out curses and blessings, but honestly,
and also
he's definitely in it for entertainment purposes.
So when the CM Punk split happened, there was like the Punk side. You either sided with him or sided with the company. And Danhausen, like, very obviously, like, doesn't want to be there anymore. And I think he's mostly just collecting. He's one of the highest merch sellers, though, right?
Mm.
So it seems to me like he's getting a fat bag from the merch. But he wants to be a performer. And I think when he joined, he was like injured, so that kind of derailed him a bit. But I like the character. I like the guy. I watched his vlogs for a while, but whenever I see somebody start complaining about the company online and like, dude, if you have a problem, like you could talk it out with like the manager or the booker, Christopher Daniels or Tony Khan or whoever, right? You could talk it out in private, right? Like you don't got to go to Twitter and like start acting a fool. So and I wanted him to be like. It's also weird because the company grew so exponentially that like people that were signed early on kind of had nothing to do anymore, right? It sucks that it had to be that way, but I think currently he's completely irrelevant other than the merch. He hasn't even been a part of, he could have been in the conglomeration, right? As just like a hype man, and he's not even in there. So he's got to be 5, right?
Yeah. I was going to say he's a fellow Detroiter though. Woo-woo!
Nice.
Yeah, but honestly, I think he's more or less in it. I don't know, but I know he is from Michigan.
Yeah, so I guess Michigan is so close to Canada that it's like Buffalo and Toronto, right? So like so the culture is similar, you could say.
Wrestling wise, I always liked holding myself to those dungeon wrestlers. If one of them is on this list, I'll definitely be pretty prejudiced, but yeah, let's see who's next.
All right. Well, we are putting Mr. Danhausen, very nice, very evil, number 5. I feel like he should be in NXT when they go to CW. I feel like he's a perfect fit.
Oh yeah, I think he would get over really fast, and I really hope he wins like a championship because I think he could definitely go far in WWE entertainment wise, just like John Cena. John Cena wasn't the wrestler type; he was more of just character.
Yeah. All right. Well, Danhausen number 5. The next AEW current wrestler He is, he has a dad, but this dad is now retired. It is his Sting's son, Darby Allin.
Darby Allin.
Darbs.
I'm a huge fan.
Same here.
He lost last night to Moxley.
He did.
Yep. But that doesn't take anything away from him as a performer.
Oh hell no! I think
I'll say that.
So dude,
tell me.
For the first time in I've never heard this chant before, but some fans in the arena started this chant for Darby. I think it's gonna stick. We were like, "You can't kill him," clap, 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 clap. Right? Like it was like,
right.
Dude, that makes perfect sense. You can't kill him.
No,
he just keeps coming back. Yeah, I think that this guy is easily a future champion. They've been saying that forever. Like he's the way that Cody put him over for the TNT title. That was, I think, during the pandemic era. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was, but it was during the pandemic. Might have been All Out or Double or Nothing. But
something like that.
That was like, I think 3 is a good shout. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. But let's not count out the fact that he is one of the pillars of AEW. That's something that, I appreciate. And, as a wrestler, for me, I always say ideally, a wrestler should want to go to WWE and want to be at the top of WWE. But when you talk about Darby and what he has brought to AEW, and trust me, I do watch AEW when I can. But, and I remember watching Darby Allin and seeing what he does and, what he's done. It's just you can't count it out. And if you do, it's like you've been living under a rock. I mean, you might as well be the new Patrick from SpongeBob, minus the fact that you don't leave.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's got it, man. Like he also moves a lot of merch. The kids love him. I see so many people with face paint. When they at the shows. He's like modern day Jeff Hardy type of aura.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Hardy definitely passed on the torch. And I will say also, I don't know if you guys have Snapchat and you guys saw, or maybe you guys do and you don't use it as much. But I remember I saw Darby Allin's hot face paint on. And I remember I've been knowing about that for years. So just knowing that, from the time he stepped on to, TV presence to TNT presence, I knew he was a superstar. If you have a filter on Snapchat or Instagram or any social media for that matter, and that's dedicated to you, you've done something right, and you're gonna go far.
What's crazy? You mentioned the TV status. I think in an interview today, he just mentioned that a lot of guys, including him, like AEW was their first ever TV break, right? So that they got thrown into the deep ends of the pool. Told to sink or swim. And not everybody kind of made it out, but those pillars, right? They're pillars for a reason because they flourished on TV.
And they stuck around
in one way or another. Yeah, and they stuck around. Yeah, so I think that dude, like he's it, man. But for current accomplishments and everything, I think 3 is a fair ranking for Darby.
Yeah, and plus how young he is and how young his career still is to some degree. He definitely has time to just still work his way to the top. And I know he will. And I know he will make it. It's only a matter of when and not if.
It's only a matter of if he stays alive long enough. Because Darby's I'm not even joking. He's like straight edge, right? So he doesn't even take painkillers like aspirin after a match, right?
Man.
Like
it's crazy.
He doesn't take like Tylenol. So, and he's multiple times gone on record saying he's here for a good time, not a long time, in the sense of like, he's gonna go 110% every night, even if that means having a 6-year career, right? If his career is only 6-7 years long, he left it all out there, right? So I don't think we're gonna see Darby wrestling in 10 years. I mean, I hope we do, but I don't think we will because he'll have done everything. But
let me also throw this out there. When I laughed, I didn't even mean to come off as tasteless. I'm not making fun of Darby Allin, to any extent. I'm just making fun of the way you presented it because it felt like a joke. I laughed at it as if it was a joking manner.
Oh yeah, no.
And someone's health is absolutely someone's health is absolutely a serious matter, but just the way it was presented out of nowhere, thrown in my face like that, I thought it was funny. But, you know, for sure, all the best in Darby's health and career.
Hell yeah, dude.
Well, Darby Allin is number 3. The next guy, you might know him as, you know, a layback type of guy, or, you know, get some fruits in there. It's Mr. Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Man, I should have put my hands in my pocket for this one.
Yeah,
we should have. Okay, so my suspicion was correct because we only had one more person left, and
You clearly know him better than me.
I think that Orange Cassidy would have been. So if I were to redo the list, right? Ospreay's number 1, Cassidy's 2, Darby's 3, and Danhausen is 5, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think in any capacity that Darby is higher than Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy has done it all. He is like, just to take a gimmick that people were initially like, you know, making fun of and not understanding
And
what it
shitting
is,
on as
what it's
well.
supposed to be, right? Like,
yeah.
he's so over, dude. Even for the most part, like I didn't understand Orange Cassidy as like a performer. Like, I'm like, I mean, I didn't get it. I didn't like really pop super hard when he'd come out or whatever. But what really turned the tide for me was when he had those bangers with Zack Sabre Jr. And I'm like,
yeah.
yo, like he can hang, right? Like he like
Mhm.
real graps, dude, real freaking graps. So yeah, but I know that I wouldn't say Orange Cassidy is number 1, so I think he has to fall to 4 here.
And for some of you guys that are kind of hating on this right now or hating on Orange Cassidy, I'll say this right now, and I come from a world of shoot wrestling, which as I mentioned on Abrar's last podcast with me, you know, I came from shoot wrestling, and you know, I know how painful that is, and I definitely know how painful pro wrestling can be. If you've seen his matches against some of the Japanese guys, like you know, I believe it was Shibata or someone else.
Yeah, Shibata and him definitely they definitely tangled a couple times.
Yeah. Shibata and him, because that was a little while ago. Shibata and him definitely tore the house down, and they definitely gained my respect in performance, like especially Orange Cassidy, because you know, as much of a joke as you want to see him, you know, watch that match because he is definitely not a joke. Like, he's definitely one tough cookie, and he will go through anybody and everybody. I mean, you know, you also can't rule out the respect he gives at the end of the match because he's a good sport. He's that damn good of a sport.
Yeah, I should also mention I have a shoot wrestling background as well. I wrestled in high school, and I can always appreciate like those things that people bring from like, you know, in whether I'm not entirely sure whether Orange Cassidy has a shoot wrestling background, but he can hang with guys that do, and that like seamless, you know, from spot to spot, like just he makes it look so easy. Like that's the thing, like. Orange Cassidy as a double-edged sword is one of those guys that people turn the channel on and they're like, yo, this guy, the wrestling is easy. It's not, man.
No.
Professional wrestling is not easy whatsoever.
And
So, like, yeah, I think that's another plus for Cassidy too. It's just he like, you know. So I guess the comparison I'll make is that like, you know, I'm not a super crazy UFC fan, but I do watch like all the big fights, at least the pay-per-views and stuff. And I don't know much about BJJ or like MMA as a whole, but that shoot wrestling background, I can you know watch it and I know exactly what's going on because I've experienced it. I've done it, you know, and like that ties into pro wrestling as well for people who are not wrestling fans but were shoot wrestlers or are into shoot wrestling. That like, you know, you can appreciate that special talent that guys like, you know, Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, like, you know, these type of guys like bring to the ring, you know.
Olympic and Division One. And I also wanted to say, Azam, you'll also agree, like, yeah, it isn't that easy. And for me as a pro wrestler, it's like, you know, going from shoot wrestling to pro wrestling. I mean, sure, it's a little bit of an easier transition, but it's one of those things where shoot wrestling can build like good immunity and to that pain and good, just athleticism,
Cardio, dude.
I mean,
cardio
and cardio as well.
Just
No
Cardio.
doubt about that. Overtime and matches.
I feel you.
But yeah,
Well,
we agree on one.
so
Hey.
you saying Orange Cassidy is number one?
No, I thought it was
Number
four.
four.
I thought it was gonna be four, yeah. Because number one could be anybody, right? I don't want to just give
That's
number
right.
one. What if Bryan Danielson pops up?
We
That
don't know.
is fair. And he has quite the history too. And he's rightfully AEW World Champion too.
Great. Well, sounds like you guys are putting Mr. Orange Cassidy in number 4. So let me run down the list here. Number
He's
5,
definitely a merch seller as well.
Oh yeah. Number
Big
5,
time.
you gave Danhausen. Number 4, Orange Cassidy. Darby Allin. Number 3. Number 2, Will Ospreay. And number 1, it's the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
You called it.
Yes.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
Leave it. Count it.
There we go. There we
1,
go.
2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. It's over.
So what's crazy actually? Abrar,
You called it.
when we did the top 5 wrestling or top 5 wrestlers ranking podcast,
Right.
I had Danielson as my number 2 wrestler of all time. And
Oh, how could you do that?
I recency bias aside, man, I think we're looking at more of like a Messi Ronaldo 1A 1B GOAT situation because I feel like
no doubt.
like Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson is like 1A 1B,
Yeah.
maybe Bryan's 1A. Just dude, that all in match was like a tearjerker, bro. Like I grown men cried that day, bro. And also like just like I mean shit, like it's Bryan Danielson, man. Like there's nothing else needs to be said. The dude he's so
No.
relatable. So relatable.
I love their match in 2021 that Omega and Danielson had.
Dude, I was there, man.
Tore it down. The atmosphere looked so good. And you know what's crazy is, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have to
go
throw
on,
this
go
out
on.
there. I was doing homework for school, and looking back at it, then, I was doing homework for school. I was making that lousy face, like, man, why the hell do I have to do this? I mean, this bullshit, well, blah, blah, blah. But, being closer to pro wrestling, it made more sense. But when I looked at their match while doing the homework, and I looked at my homework, I was just like, man, it's only a matter of time until I don't have to put up with this homework thing and I could do pro wrestling. It's just guys like that remind me, guys, and, it only starts with those two and the list goes on. But they initially gave me that reminder that I'm not going to be in college forever. I will be on their level soon. And, inshallah, God willing, it's only a matter of time. But, I will be on their level. So they both reminded me, where I'm going to be soon, which is at the very top of the wrestling business in general, inshallah, God willing. And my other point, too, is that, it's just, being closer to graduating college and, soon to be in wrestling school, it makes more sense to look at it. And then it made sense, as an outsider looking in. And that's pretty much all I had to say on that one.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully one day you'll become world champion. I'm hoping.
Inshallah. God willing, bro. That's all we can say. If and when.
Inshallah.
The next category is current WWE men wrestlers over the age of 40.
Ooh.
So everyone, the entire roster.
Basically.
Well, the first guy is currently 47 years old. He was in WCW. He was in TNA. He was in, I believe, ROH. He's Mr. Phenomenal AJ Styles.
Number 1, GOAT. It's like that.
For sure.
So there's a lot of dudes over 40. AJ Styles is one of those guys that, like, when all is said and done, and you're talking all-time greats, like easily top 6 or top 7, like all-time greats.
Don't forget,
so
very decorated as a wrestler and a superstar.
yeah, he's done it
Very
all, bro.
much.
He was the leader of the Bullet Club. He was TNA.
He was the face of TNA. He got screwed over towards the end. I remember as a wrestler, I was pissed. As a fan, I was even more pissed. But you know what I'm saying.
That's Dixie Carter for you.
Great businesswoman, but not great in the wrestling business.
That could be said for so many people. But yeah, dude, I think AJ Styles,
bro.
over 40, man. Like, so we're talking current active wrestlers. So like Cena could be on this list maybe because he's going on a retirement tour.
Sure, maybe.
So Rey Mysterio could be on this list.
Maybe.
I think. What do you think of 2, Jake?
That's fair.
2's fair.
Plus, it's like, what more does he have to prove?
I also think we're looking at it in the context of like just WWE, right? Like, AJ Styles. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I actually give a little bit of credit to Vince McMahon, the devil himself, to actually put an outsider at the position that he did with AJ Styles, because that was like unheard of.
That's true.
He gave the man everything. But I think that I think AJ has currently he's kind of cooled down a bit. He can still go in the ring. I think his character and everything is cooled down. Like, I think that he's definitely he hit his peak in WWE for sure, and now he's kind of coming down from the peak, I would say, over the last few years. So 2 would be my final answer, I would say.
Like and retweet. I'll agree with that one.
There you go.
There could be more that deserve 1. No, not knocking AJ, of course, but.
All right. Well, AJ Styles, Mr. Phenomenal. Number 2. The next guy, he's been with the company since I want to say since he was in his 20s, early 20s. I
know he is.
He is currently 44 years old, so a young guy. He is Mr. RKO, Randy Orton.
I don't think we need to discuss this further. I put him at number 1, just call it a day, bro. I'm a huge fan of Randy Orton.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man. I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story on Randy. And it's a little bit of a blur, but I'll tell you as much as I can remember. So I remember for Eastern Michigan University, they had a WWE live event in 2017, and this was around the time after Jinder won the title from Orton, right? And I remember Randy was going down the ramp, and where I sat, me and my oldest brother, we were close. We were there was one chair ahead that was closer to the ramp, and I remember seeing Randy going down, and I shouted, I was like, Randy, yes! And I remember I took this really blurry ass selfie of myself with Randy, and earlier this year on his birthday, I actually posted it, and I said it on my birthday post for Randy, and I will say it again. Randy was one of those superstars who made me absolutely sure that I wanted to be a pro wrestler in my mind and heart before, even before I got better in shoot wrestling later on that year. He was making me so sure that I wanted to do pro wrestling, and he's just so flawless. And my final take on Randy being number 1 is this. If you were to walk away from what I for one have to say as a wrestler, it's this. If, and I emphasize enough, I try to emphasize this enough. If you have the crowd singing your theme song like Randy Orton does, and like Chris Jericho and a lot of other people, I could endlessly name. If you have them singing your theme song, whether it plays or not, and whether it echoes when it's on, or when they cut it off and they still sing it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I don't even know how much over I have to tell you that you are. Like, how over do you need to know that you're over? Like, where's the point where you know that you're over? I mean, I'm pretty sure as a performer, I won't know until someone wakes me up, but I'm just seeing this as an outsider looking in.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, I agree.
Dude, I remember, as a kid, I was, shit scared of The Undertaker. I thought he would, come into my house. Come into my house, try to, bury me in my backyard or whatever. And Randy Orton had that Legend Killer feud with Undertaker. They might have had a match at, Backlash or No Way Out or one of those, early pay-per-views or something. And it was, I think, I'm not sure whether I don't know whether he went over or not, but, they positioned him really well to kind of get away from the Evolution sort of story, if I remember correctly. So,
the stable,
Randy Orton was, my hero at the time. And then, I remember when SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 came out, I got it for the PSP, and I did career mode, 3 times with Randy Orton. So, he's definitely number one.
I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that say Randy Orton was their hero.
I mean, dude, I'd be at a water park about to jump in the pool doing the Randy Orton shoulder pose, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I do that when I sleep when I was a kid.
Oh, damn, dude, that what a mark! That's some real Mark stuff. I love that. That is great, dude. That is fantastic.
And it took balls for you to say that too, but I think it's safe to say it as adults.
Oh,
I'll say that much.
Was it a comfortable sleeping position? I might try that today. Just knock out.
Yeah,
maybe you could let us all know on Instagram. That's for sure. Or X.
I'm gonna tape my phone to the wall, to the ceiling, and use my watch to start the camera and just take a photo of myself sleeping Randy Orton style.
Or use your ceiling fan and time your camera.
Oh,
if you have one above your bed.
If I had a ceiling
fan.
I
do. Yeah.
Time to install it. We're putting Randy Orton number 1. Ooh.
Rightfully so.
All right.
No arguments.
The next wrestler that's over 40, he is currently made the mark. He is 40 years old. We known him since ROH. It is our beloved Sami Zayn, or El Generico.
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah, man. It's funny. When I was driving back home tonight, I was thinking of Sami Zayn and how you might incorporate him into this episode. Mm-hmm. Because we're all Muslim, and Sami Zayn is basically the biggest Muslim wrestler to ever make it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Pretty soon it'll be me.
Dude.
Second or third. Yeah, I'm okay with being up there in general.
Was also Mustafa Ali too, so
of course, yeah. And I don't want to knock those guys, of course, but I just want to be up there, It's not a race,
Sami is he's just amazing. I just El Generico, and that was a great character, and also just to see the rapport that him and Kevin Owens have as best friends. It's two guys from a small town in the middle of nowhere, and French speaking, what do you call it? Quebec, right? To make it to the global stage, and the two guys that you would bet on never making it, made it and then some, right? It just, it's just speaks for itself.
So self-explanatory.
Yeah, so but I we can't put him at 5, can't put him at 4, so 3 is 3. The next. Yeah, man.
3.
All right, Sami Zayn, our beloved man, our bearded man. I miss his when he didn't have a beard, but of course with the beard is still nice. But
I miss the short hair as well.
Yeah.
I miss the short hair, no beard, like that. I felt like that look fit him well. But yeah, honestly. He could rock the long hair though. I just think it's just the nostalgia in us.
Oh yeah.
One thing I also want to point out that I have to give Sami Zayn the most credit for is being so politically vocal about things that are important. despite risking his position in the company and being vocal and things like that, and like, you know, things like
Yeah.
Sammy for Syria and raising Palestinian awareness, right? Like the amount of eyes that he has brought to issues of social justice is like unparalleled. Because that's what you need. You need people in,
Yeah.
you know, with people in the palm of their hands, right? Like, you know, influencers
Yeah.
and music artists, movie stars, wrestlers, right? To be open
Yeah.
about these things, because the average person that, you know, might watch wrestling or movies or be into music is not, you know, readily aware of some of the atrocities taking place. And Sami Zayn, like, you know, to be, especially in a company that has kind of been on the wrong side of politics for most of its history, like to knowing how hard he worked to risk his livelihood and to risk his, you know, putting food on the table for your family for what you believe in is the most meritable thing, and that is
Yes.
like in our hearts he's number one, right?
Yes.
So that's
Of
just like
course.
I got to put that out, you know.
But he does have a long career to go, and you know, a long time to, you know, further proving himself. And I'll also say this, funny that you brought it up. It's not that people are also not aware, but he's also trying to wake up those who, you know, just close their eyes or turn a blind eye. You know,
Yeah.
meanwhile, he
Yeah.
would tap their shoulder and say, "Hello, you know, if this was your kid, you know, it's, you know, you wouldn't be pleased. You'd want the world to know." And it's like, I think people are just too keen on taking the corporate buyout per se. And, you know, sometimes they may have to take, you know, just to keep their job, but it's just morally, it might not feel right, or just either way, you might need to just, you know, be allowed to speak on it to some degree. You know, it's just really, it's such a gray area that's just never brought up.
Yeah, and I think that like
Great.
I mean, I don't like I guess you could say performative activism. You can kind of tell when someone is just doing it for like to kind of gain some fans,
Publicity.
and this is across all media, all sorts
Of
of
course.
entertainment forms, right? But the thing is, like, Sammy doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. He doesn't have to
Mhm.
be, you know, outspoken about the thing. It's the fact that he chooses to do so that you know elevates him in the eyes of everyone that believes in what he believes in, right? So like, you know,
Taking that
it's important.
initiative.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's the right way to put it.
Well, we are putting Sami Zayn number 3. Our next wrestler, he is currently 52 years old. Oh my god.
How old?
He was the first black NWA champion,
Oh, I
and
know.
and he currently has the most reigns of any championship, I think, in history. 54 reigns to be exact. It is of the 24/7 title is R-Truth.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey, I gotta throw this out there actually, because this, I think you guys are gonna be really impressed with this. And as for the fans who like to watch, this past Ramadan, man, R-Truth actually followed me on Instagram and X.
Oh, there we go.
So it feels good to know that I'm actually about to rank a guy that follows me on the gram. And inshallah, God willing, more to come. But I just feel like I got to throw it out there because, you know, it's just a monumental moment, of course. And, you know, I had to compliment R-Truth when he had that bucket hat on. And I said, I said something, I forgot what I said, but he liked it. And then I mentioned it on my IG story. And then I remember I woke up to him following me. I was like trying to rub my eyes just to make sure I wasn't like half asleep. And yeah, I mean, I felt like that was just the greatest gift from God, you know, to see a current WWE superstar follow you, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you guys know the work I'm trying to put in and trying to just showcase my journey. And, you know, it means a lot that he's actually going to be watching me. And I've always believed in having more referrals than just that one guy. Not knocking the one guy who can help me, but I'm just trying to say, like, everybody will help in their own respective ways.
Yeah, dude. What do you call our truth is just first of all, he looked younger than me.
Yeah.
So
He looks
our
younger
truth,
than all of us.
our truth could be 25.
He's a
You know,
vampire.
yeah, literally,
For
man.
real.
Talk about like, just charisma. Talk about entertainment. Dude, he's a freaking rapper too, man. He got bars, bro.
He does.
What an
I have
entertainer, man.
I have some of his music on my workout playlist, my shower playlist, and my car playlist. You know, so it's like I always like hearing Truth's voice, spitting bars, man.
Dude, like I think that our truth is just the perfect example of like number one, like not being a mark for yourself, right? Because like
Yeah.
the guy would do anything you ask him to do, right? Like he does it so well that I mean I can't even definitively say that he's done anything that I've been able to identify as yo, they're just making him do this, right? Because he
Yeah.
just does it so well. It's like authentic the way he puts across his his act as a pro wrestler. And dude, he could go in the ring too, man. Like
Yeah.
I mean, the age is definitely creeping up, and I don't think he's as athletic as he was in his younger days. But I mean,
Which is nothing wrong with that, though.
he had some bangers, bro, and like
Yeah.
I mean, like he still got it, man. Our truth is, while he may not have reached crazy heights like Orton and AJ Styles, but I mean, yeah, like I can't put him at 5. Our truth is number 4 for me. I would say,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
Ready. Our truth is number 4.
The guy who idolizes John Cena.
Yes.
It still gets me every time, even though he's older than John Cena. I will tell you this too. He could be 60 and he might look the same. I mean, I don't know, man. That brother takes care of himself.
I don't know how, but it's crazy. But all right, he was number 4. Let me run down the list here. Current WWE Men Wrestlers over the age of 40. Number 1, you gave Randy Orton. Number 2, AJ Styles. Number 3, Sami Zayn. R-Truth, number 4. And number 5, you guys put him in. Number 5, he's from a zip code, and he's a deadbeat dad. He is Rey Mysterio.
No, Abrar, you're so freaking predictable, man. You're putting all the goats as the last one. All right. I swear, whatever your next category is, dog. Switch up the ranking that you give it to us.
Well, we'll see.
This is not going to draw any viewers, man. They know you're going to put the goats as the last person. All right.
I didn't know. So it's like more fun with me, I feel like, but with you, it's just like, oh, really,
dude?
Well,
we're drawing no numbers on this podcast. But Rey Mysterio number 5. I guess the only saving grace, as you could say, currently, he obviously is not at the heights that he once was in his career. But
no.
all said and done, Rey Mysterio is literally the greatest luchador of all time. Mexico's greatest prodigy, just the GOAT.
You didn't say export because it's Alberto Del Rio spot, I guess.
Oh.
Hey, yo.
Dicey.
Well, Rey Mysterio is currently 49 years old. He's about to be 50.
Barakallah fi Ray.
Hey, man, that stem cell therapy does a number on your knees, man. If you want to rejuvenate it, get that stem cell going.
I need to do that now.
I will say this about Ray. I love this since it happened. I'm so glad he got rid of those loose pants because I used to call them clown pants when I started watching wrestling and seeing guys like Ray and Carlito wearing it. And I remember I saw him, do the trunks, like the pants, like trunks. And I was like, oh man, that looks so badass on him. And he got ripped. Like, especially in Return in 2018. And he just kept it going, man. And honestly, it's just those guys like are like the empowerment for me to like get on that level. And then, inshallah, God willing, I'll be on that level soon. It's just a matter of time. And of course, Mexico is like the number 2 country outside of the United States I want to wrestle in. So it's definitely going to be interesting wrestling down there where a lot of these legends started.
Oh yeah.
Ecliptor! Who's he? He's trouble.
If you're looking for an amazing podcast that recaps Power Rangers in space, then there's only one stop for you, and that is Brown Boy Wonder Podcast. Watch it today, or feel my wrath.
Oh hey, it's Lex Lang, voice of Ecliptor from Power Rangers in Space. And I just wanted to say congratulations to Anthony and Abrar for putting together an amazing podcast that really shows off Power Rangers in Space. So if you haven't seen it or heard it, be sure to tune in. Brown Boy Wonder Podcast. That's right. It's amazing.
I think so too.
Oh, next list.
All right, the next category is World Women's Champion at any brand of all at any time.
That includes New Japan as well, or Stardom.
That includes everything.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to start that much.
Well,
Yeah, I don't even really watch live Japan any wrestling except for Wrestle Kingdom because it's always on crazy times. Like Wrestle Kingdom starts at 2 a.m. for me. So
They do.
but
They do want to correlate. They do want to correlate with local time, so that will make it kind of weird. It's like Rumble in the Jungle in 1974. I believe 74, where they wanted to do it local time in Zaire, and it was actually in like the odd time in the morning. I think it was 3 a.m. here, something like that. But you get what I'm saying.
yeah,
still drew, brother. Still drew numbers.
did.
Sure did.
Our first lady world champion. She is currently a dentist. She is DMD Britt Baker.
Britt Baker. Recently back on the market, I heard too.
What? No, what happened to Adam Cole?
I heard they broke up. They split.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, but it was
I
kind
don't
of
know
weird
how
because
true it is, though.
it was Chugs, talking on the stream, and he basically said that he is currently moving back to Pennsylvania. He might have been doing it alone, but he said it in a way of like, he I think he was apologizing for either like a lack of dedication or something to the stream or something like that, or being unavailable because he was moving all by himself. Like he's like doing the entire move, like no one's helping him doing the move. So, and that kind of was a little strange because I know for a fact that Britt Baker's dental practice is in Florida. So for him to be moving back to Pennsylvania, he didn't really say much. But I mean, I hope all is well with Adam. And
Absolutely. All the best to them, their relationship, and their family, for sure.
yeah. But now, if we're talking all time in terms of this list,
Yeah.
like this could be people like that also retired too. So
Could be.
I mean, I gotta say, okay, so I used to be a huge Britt Baker mark, and especially in the beginning of AEW, but she hasn't really improved in the ring, I guess. Like, and I say this as like, I mean, only as a viewer, maybe Jake
As a
could,
spectator.
Jake could add some more on this, but it just doesn't make sense to me, like how you can. I mean, granted, she did just come back from like a serious, like almost career-ending injury. She had a stroke, right? Like, so
Ooh, yeah.
a little bit that adds a bit to it. But let's talk about like title reigns. She had a pretty believable title reign as AEW Women's Champion, and I watched, all of it. But I don't think that she's anywhere near the top of the list. I would maybe say like 4 or like 3, assuming anybody could be on this damn list, right? So, what do you think, Jake?
I'll add on to your point. I think I know what you are trying to say, and this is also what I want to say. And I've said this about a couple other wrestlers, whether they were in WWE or AEW. I believe firmly, performer-wise, that Britt has time in her career to continuously grow. And I will say, and this is out of 5, right, Abrar?
Yeah, out of 5.
I'll definitely have to say she's at 5. And this isn't knocking her skill. I just think it's a complimentary way of saying you have time to improve your craft. Some of these other people, they don't.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Like,
Ask.
so you've already been a world champion, right? And we can say the caveat of like AEW was a younger company then, and like the roster was not as big, and the pandemic was also going on. Someone's got to hold the title, right? And Britt did a great job being a champion and being over with the fans and stuff, right? But
Oh, yeah.
like, dude, I don't know how you bounce back from having a stinker at All In with the greatest of all time. Like, like that, there could have been so many other women in that spot. Like, I would have loved to see, another grudge match with like Willow and Mercedes again, right? Like, or even like Chris Statlander and Mercedes could have mixed it up. Anybody could have mixed it up, put on a freaking show stealer, right? For the TBS title at All In, and like, I mean, call it ring rust or whatever. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, right? But like, it just doesn't sit right with me, Like, it's like you have time to improve your craft, but how many people have you ever heard of that have held a world title and then like regressed and then been given a second chance? Like, it's unique for Britt because she was a full-time dentist. Now she does that part-time as well. But
Of course.
it's unique in the sense of like no one's ever done it like her, so you can't compare her to anybody. Like in terms of the work ethic and the grind, but in terms of presentation, I don't know that she'll be given that spot again, right? Because there's people are knocking at the door, and pro wrestling even though AEW may not have a malicious competitiveness in the locker room, if people are knocking on the door, man, you've got people like Sky Blue and Julia Hart and Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, right? Like, why wouldn't you give them a chance over like I feel like that All In was kind of like the nail in the coffin, low key, and I hate to say that, but I mean, I hope she gets a chance to improve. I don't want her to like flounder, right? But I think it's time to like kind of depart from that,
Step aside.
like yeah, it's unfortunate that it played out that way, but
Yeah.
it just like kind of sucks.
And you know what? I also feel like, the progression, it is how you want it to be. I mean, I sum up progress in professional wrestling as one of my classes this past summer. Very hard to fail, because progress is about whether or not you want to have, you want to have progress. It's just all about your desire. And that's how I've been seeing it. And that's how I initially use it in my life is, especially with pro wrestling. I do want to progress and I want to consistently progress and I do want to get better. I want to better my craft. I want to better my promo skills, my mic skills. Hell, even my podcast skills. Thankfully, I'm bettering it with you guys, for my future appearances on other podcasts.
Sure.
But yeah, like progress is something that you should want, and just like one of my classes last summer, just like this, you would have to really try in order for that not to come. And I'm not saying Britt Baker is trying to, regress, but I think if you do find yourself regressing in any way, you really gotta sit down and think about what the hell am I doing wrong that I'm regressing in such a way, not only in the eyes of my own point of view, but in my eyes as a performer and maybe in the fans' eyes as well. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to rule out the fans' point of view, but hell, maybe ask your peers. Maybe ask an experienced vet like Christopher Daniels or someone experienced that, if you're a female wrestler, like maybe someone like, let's say you have access to talking to Mickie James or Trish Stratus, and you want to give them, your videos and say, hey, I feel like I'm regressing. What do I do? Try to reach out for guidance. Try to look within yourself and then look amongst other people. And that's all I got to say about that. I know I was blabbing on, but I really think those were like key points to nail down as a performer, as a spectator, and also, someone who wants to improve and someone who sees wrong in regression.
Yeah, man. Sounds about right.
I thought so.
Sounds like you guys are putting her at number 3.
I think it was 5.
Yeah, five. Yeah.
5. Yeah.
All right. Britt Baker, DMD, is at number 5. Next women's champion. She was part of Team Extreme, and she's iconic for sure.
Sable, or not Sable.
It's
Lita.
Yes, Lita.
I was gonna say, why the hell did I say Sable?
I think you just watched the documentary.
I had a busy day today too, so my mind wasn't really all there. But anyway, Lita
was like
a legend,
just like
a bona fide legend.
Man. Dude, like GOAT status. I think it's really important to note that Lita was in the early days just getting her shit in. Like she did not succumb to the shitty sex appeal stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, except for the Edge storyline, which was that was kind of
that was a mess. That was a mess for sure.
It was a mess, but I think it was appropriate. That storyline.
It was appropriate,
right?
but kind of a mess. You have to kind of think of it.
Yeah, I don't think she was forced to do that, right? Like, because yeah, I mean, I hope so at least. But I mean, think about the '90s, right? Like, dude, Lita was hitting leg drops on dudes, like with like trash cans and shit, right? Like, she was a freaking pioneer, man. Like, when you talk about the most important women in wrestling, like Lita is definitely like up there. I think that all things considered, unfortunately, her career was less of a singles career, more of like a sidekick type of career.
Manager,
but also had like can definitely go in the ring, no doubt. I think that she would be at 2. What do you think?
Definitely 2. I was actually hoping we would be on the same page there.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Cool.
Lita,
but she did.
Yeah.
You don't take it away from her. She also did win the women's championship a couple times. So like,
yeah,
we can't really rule that part out.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say I'm literally wearing black cargo pants. So shout out to Lita.
There you go. Are
you big ass baggy ass?
Oh yeah, are you wearing a
thong, bro? I'm not wearing a thong. Although that was a look. That was a look, man.
Absolutely,
that was a look.
All the men be looking. That's for sure.
Yes, Lita is number 2. The next person. There's some time on my watch I'm looking at, and it looks like it says CEO. It is Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I bought her autograph yesterday. Yeah.
Bad attitude wasn't included, right?
What do you mean bad attitude?
Well, I to be fair, as a wrestler, seeing her like character overall, like not only with fans but just hearing stuff and the vibe I get from her, I'm not really like a big fan of her.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I'm just not that big of a fan. And she kind of reminded me, and I did talk about this on the last podcast, very brief, that she did remind me of a supervisor that I worked with who made my life a living hell. And, I promised myself I wasn't going to put myself through that again, no matter what. So I kind of I'll leave it right there saying, like, I'm not a big fan of Mercedes Moné. I mean, I'm sorry if you guys like me and like her, but like, hey, I'm, if I'm reminded of a bad event through, in my life through someone else, then, and I know the vibe and I see the vibe they have, I'm just like, yeah, no thanks.
Well, I'm like I'm like a number one Mercedes apologist. Like I'm like a trumper when it comes to Mercedes Moné.
Oh boy.
She literally like, dude, when we did the top 5 wrestlers of all time, she was my
Yeah.
number 4, right? Like I had her like nobody had a woman on the list, man. Like she is literally
That's
like
true.
the greatest to ever friggin' put on a pair of boots.
And
But
I'll say
I
this, like, I don't take away her ring skills because I think her in-ring skills are, pretty good. But just the attitude overall, it's just the behavior outside of the ring. And I try to, maintain
I
a
want to
good
ask you this,
behavior
right?
outside of the ring.
Because
Go ahead.
when I say apologist, like that's with all due respect. Like I understand people's
Oh, of
experiences
course.
are unique, right? And I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't feel the way that you feel, or that someone reminds you of something that's unique to you, and that's what life is about. But
No, and I understand that.
what in particular do you think it was that you saw from her outside the ring that rubbed you the wrong way? Because I mean, I don't see her as that at all. Like, granted, I have a very big radar for like shitty people, and I like the moment that you do some dumb shit that pisses me off, that's like like in a bullying type of way or whatever, I like hate you forever. And like Britt Baker was someone that I was a huge fan of, but then those stories of coming out about her, being like a backstage bully on multiple occasions, I like I don't wear her freaking shirt anymore. I took her action figure off the wall type shit, right? Like it really
Yikes.
rubbed me the wrong way. Like, yo, like dude, like it's a job. It's wrestling. Like you got to have a good, backstage culture, and nobody likes a shitty coworker, right? Like, and
Yeah.
as I was someone that was bullied for a lot of my life as a kid, right? So I just hate bullies. So I don't
Oh, me
I would have
too.
hated Mercedes equally, right? But I want to know what it was that you thought, reminded you of that from her, because I didn't see that.
Recently she had a altercation with a journalist, and she was dressed like Woody from Toy Story,
Oh,
and
I saw
like
the
I think
video.
it was a onesie. And I get it. It's a journalist, but still, I think no matter what, you have to carry yourself in a absolute positive manner. I
What'd she
mean,
say?
if
I'm
you
actually
were,
curious.
I mean, it wasn't what she said. It was just the way she said it, and that did kind of like give me a, bad vibe. She was just like, like a journalist was asking to confirm something. I believe it was like asking to confirm something, but it wasn't like
About her
clear.
going to AEW, and she shot it down.
Yeah, something like that. And then
Yeah,
she was
so
just like,
that was
"Oh,
at
you
Comic Con.
heard." Yep. And I kind of
Well,
got a
so
bad vibe from that. I would have been like, hey, just keep watching and you'll see something.
you
Or,
want to know
I would have been
how
like
I
keeping it
interpreted that?
mysterious. But
I
yeah, go ahead.
interpreted that as this, right? Like you have somebody that is that left WWE, just walked out, and is for the first time in their life had the opportunity to do what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like when you just assume that someone's coming to AEW, you're indirectly shitting on like New Japan, right? Like you're not giving it the importance, and whether that's your intention or not, right? Because the journalists, could just not be aware. I mean, most people are not aware of New Japan, right? Like they just think it's just, it's not as big as it is, but it's huge. It's definitely
It's
huge.
huge.
And like it I guess that probably she could have exhibited a bit more patience in that scenario, but like if you put yourself in her shoes or in any shoes like that, like when people are undermining what you're doing indirectly currently by asking you about your next thing over and over and over again, it it could definitely get annoying, man. Dude, I'm chronically online, man. I live on Reddit. I like I'm on Squared Circle like 24/7, right? I'm reading all the comments and stuff. Like I'm a total internet wrestling loser, right? And
Do you do
like
you see
that.
the great one, the YouTuber on that? Because dude, he reacts to those so much. Just a
I
side note,
actually
last question.
he's a YouTuber that reacts to Reddit stuff.
Yeah, the great one.
Yeah, I have.
Gonna say look him up and get back to me on that one.
I'll look him up for show. But yeah, my point is that whole saga of her leaving WWE was so annoying because it's like, yo, like just let the person do what they want to do. Like it's not our life, right? Like And everybody
Yeah,
kept
but-
asking her the same thing over and over and over again, right? So I can see why, like, we're all human. We do make mistakes. I didn't see that as a bullying moment for sure. Or also recently, like, she completely obliterated a friggin' journalist backstage at, I believe it was either All In or Double or Nothing. A reporter asked her about, like, her divorce, and she's like, "Yo, that's none of your business," right? But she said it in a really obviously pissed off way, and like it ruined the rest of her press conference, right? But like that's the kind of thing where like people as journalists kind of like they work themselves too much, it's kind of like TMZ,
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not trying to convince you of
No.
your life experience. Just offering I guess another way, the way that I saw it, because I hate bullies, so I didn't see that as bullying.
No, but I feel like there could be a better way to approach it. I just feel like it could she could have just gone about it a little more, just carrying herself in a positive manner. And it's just like I firmly believe in being respectful even to the least respectful, like even as a Muslim, even as Muslim men, we're offered stuff. Like, there was a time at my school where I was offered a Bible, and I thought it, like, for a second I had my AirPods in like I do now. And I thought it was a mini notebook. I looked at it and then I saw it was a Bible. I was like, "Hey, I'm Muslim, but thanks though." Or something to that degree. Or, for example, I ate at a restaurant. Someone actually offered me a drink. I was like, "Hey, I'm Muslim. I can't, but thank you." But even, and it's not. I'm not saying that those people were being disrespectful. I'm saying, like, that's probably an example of a nice gesture. But if someone tries to, let's say, disrespect our greeting, who's a non-Muslim, of course, what do you say when a non-Muslim who's being disrespectful says "Salaam alaikum" to you? You guys know what you say, right?
Yeah.
Wa alaikum.
Yeah.
No, wa alaikum. Which is like half of it. They're being disrespectful, but you want to maintain that respect, even though that they're being respectful, or even though they're being disrespectful. Which is something that I want to, like, maintain for myself in more aspects than just Islam.
Right.
You want to be able to maintain that respect. Like, let's say someone wants to ask me about something personal. Of course, I'm gonna, like, have to plead the fifth, because one of my teachers in the sports management field, he said this to me as not only as a student but also as a future professional athlete. He basically said, you don't have to be completely honest with the media. Whether or not you're being completely honest, that's none of their business. You're just saying something to shoo them off and maybe write a potential story so they could get off your back. And also, as a wrestler who believes in cinema, I firmly believe that you have to keep things mysterious. Do the dirt sheets ruin, pro wrestling sometimes? Absolutely. But you don't want to play into their BS, because if you're, just like Mercedes, if you're being a dick to someone, they're going to catch that and they're going to put it out there, and, they're going to, like, you reap what you sow. I'm not the type of person to do that. So, I want to make sure to keep my reputation intact. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not. But I believe anybody can do that. And I believe it starts and ends with Mercedes. I want to maintain that for myself as well. But yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, it could be hard. Like, so one thing that I really hate, like, all across the world, is like celebrity worship, and like just people forgetting the fact that these people are human too, right? Like, I hate these idiots that line up at, like, the airports, for autographs just to sell them on eBay, or people that are like, I remember the Young Bucks, like, they had a BTE where they landed at a hotel and, like, they were just, like, shitting on, like, these autograph reseller guys, right? Like, which is objectively more offensive than a journalist asking a question, sure. But like people often forget that like these people are human too, and they have real lives just like we do, and
They have
like
wives and families. Well, I don't yet, but like you get what I'm saying.
Inshallah, when you do get to that level of
Inshallah.
like fandom, right? Like,
Yeah.
your patience will be tested, and I'm sure that you're equipped with the tools, and Islam equips you with the tools to be, very patient with people. But it's like, we're all human. We do make mistakes, right? So it just sucks that some reporter had to be the one to, kind of eat that, right? But like, that's just life,
Yeah, but
I feel like we kind of got off track here, though. Low key, I don't want to like rant on
of
about
course
this.
not. But I think as a wrestler, from a wrestler standpoint, you kind of have to throw that out there, and just throw what you initially believe in. But I will put on this final note. I did kind of look up what happened with Mercedes and that Makazi or whatever his name was, the designer for WWE, and I could see why she was actually being a little snarky. Because it didn't seem like a very pretty divorce either. So, not that any divorce is pretty, but this did seem like pretty ugly.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like, I don't think it's any of my business, right? Like, I just kind of.
I don't think it's anybody's business to be put out there, but I think really, I think I can see where she's like, pissed about someone bringing that up.
Yeah, and also like Mercedes, like the thing is, like, as a person, like she's way more similar to like one of us than like a snob head celebrity. Her character is like the exact opposite of who she is. If you watch her vlogs and stuff, like she's a very obviously in touch with her emotions, and like she's a very normal person, and to be like this, even in some cases like overly glamorized, overly sexualized type of strong female figure, it can be daunting, right? And like it's just tough to deal with that. So just to kind of snowball it in, it's just like it's harder for her than it is for others. So yeah, but I mean, like I don't know about you, but I'm putting her at number one, dog. That's just like I think that she's like the Osprey of women's wrestling, like currently.
So are we putting? Go ahead.
What places have we not used?
So 1, 3, and 4.
I'd say 3.
Well, we can't use 2, so I'll let you go with 3.
Okay, because there might be a goated person. So
if we end up with some stinker at number 1, I will not let you hear the end of it.
Oh boy, looking forward to that one.
Alrighty, so we're putting Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné, CEO, Boss Time, number 3. And the next one, you guys mentioned strong, the word strong. I think this lady is very strong. She is currently the TNA's Women's Champion, Jordynne Grace.
Ooh, she is very strong.
Jordynne Grace could whoop the ass of the average like man in the gym. Like Jordynne Grace is literally like phenomenal. I like her work on TNA. I've seen her. I believe she's worked GCW as well.
Yep.
And like, I just think she's awesome. Just like when talking about the Knockouts division, like you could not talk about that division without mentioning her. I'm not really a fan of her as like I mean, outside of the ring, I don't know enough about her to really be like a super fanboy or anything, but I can respect her as a performer, no doubt. Like, and I mean, dude, she's built like no one I've ever seen built before. Like, she's freaking jacked. And you got to respect that. I think that she was a staple of the Knockouts division and really put that division on her back, especially at a time where I think Mickey James had kind of taken. Yeah, I think she took a break or whatever, and I think Gail Kim just left too. Gail Kim just left. Deonna Purrazzo left, and like Jordynne Grace has taken that flag and like really been the torchbearer. And to be put in, like, dude, the Fed does not throw scraps to like lower companies at all. But like to see her have the respect of being in the Royal Rumble, even if she kind of jobbed out, right? Like that was cool. That was dope. Like that has not happened before. So like I mean, she basically opened that like that WWE Forbidden Door, if you want to refer to it as that, right? So I think she's pretty spot on, but she's not number one, so she can't be 5 either. What do you think, Jake?
I would say because she still has, I believe firmly that she still has time to grow. I believe that she should be at 5 because it's just, she has time to grow.
We put Britt Baker at 5. So
Shit.
So the remaining are 1 and 4.
So she's 4.
So 4. Yeah, I'm glad.
Right.
I'm glad 5 was taken because I would have felt bad about that, but.
Alrighty. Well, let's.
But I can't believe I'm saying Mercedes is better than in a better spot than Jordan, but it is kind of true. So.
Well, let me run down the list here. Number 5, we put Britt Baker. Number 4, we put Jordan Grace. Number 3, we put Mercedes Moné. Number 2, we put Lita. And number 1, guys.
Drum roll.
You can look, but you cannot touch. Nikki Bella, number 1.
Stinker. Number 1.
No.
Stinker, bro.
No,
Absolute
stinker. I think it was good.
No, she is a bona fide 3. Look, all respect. Shout out to Nikki Bella, by the way. I know she's going through some tough times. Hope she's doing well. Nikki Bella for show is like, you can't talk about the women's revolution without talking about her. I loved the Bellas. I was a friggin' simp back in the day, back in my celebrity crush high school days, bro. She was the
I think we all were.
Yeah, like, I mean, see, we've always found a way to politic ourselves into like basically gaslighting ourselves into thinking that these lists that we've made have been accurate to some degree. And I think that we could say that, like, in terms of respect that they command overall and importance, Nikki Bella at number 1 is not a stinker. But I think we salvaged it. I'm okay with that.
Good.
I mean, inshallah, God willing, good for Nikki Bella and her family.
Wish her nothing but the best, man.
So I hope everything will end up being well for her.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Guys, we are now in our last category, and for this one, we're not doing people. We are doing foreign objects.
Ooh, let's freaking go.
That is unique. I'm actually looking forward to this one.
Baby.
I will say, as a pro wrestler, my favorite weapon of all time, and this is my favorite weapon overall as well, not only in wrestling, and this would actually be the first thing I grab. If God forbid, that's a law, if I get my house breaking into, or if I get jumped or whatever, or attacked. My first go-to weapon is a steel foldable chair.
Oh, wow.
Hands down.
I mean,
and you know
I thought you were going to say Brian Pillman's gun, but okay.
Well, here's what I will say. And, definitely I hope not to go into that place overall, but I will say, and I think anybody else who has common sense and is also pro guns will say that a gun is always a last resort. If you were a loved one or a family member is in danger, and that's like that initial moment is all you need just to defend them or yourself, that's it. That's all you need is in that last resort. Not the first resort, but the last resort. Mm-hmm. But my first resort is a steel foldable chair. Just had to throw that as a side note.
There we go, right to the temple of the head.
Yup. You know it. Don't let me swing a chair at your head, dude.
Please don't.
I don't plan on it. You're my boy.
I remember one time in the masjid in Ramadan, we used to like tweak, and like there's a house attached to the masjid, right? So we'd be in the basement just tweaking, and one of my boys whacked me with a steel chair, and I had like a little red bump on my forehead. And the next day was picture day at school, so I had to like use some. I think my mom gave me some like foundation or whatever to match my skin color with the red bump. But yeah, your boy
That's
had makeup on
ridiculous.
for picture day.
Damn.
I also wanted to throw that out there too. I actually went through something similar. So there was another kid, I forgot who it was, who watched WWE then. I don't know if he still does now. But what happened was we were in one of the classrooms because there was a gym there with that. There were a bunch of classrooms. And what happened was we were like checking out the chairs. And, what happened was out of nowhere, he actually hit me really hard on the head. Accidentally, of course, because I knew it was an accident. And he nonstop apologized. And I remember I was seeing stars after that. And this was when I was like, 13? And I was just like, man, and I kind of liked it in a way too. But this was like long before I wanted to be a pro wrestler. Like it was probably like 3 years before I knew I wanted to be a wrestler.
Bro is a masochist.
Oh man, what can I say? He just took the words out of my mouth, I guess.
All right. Well,
Future
the
hardcore legend.
next big Foley.
Hell no.
The first object is it's been there since the early days of professional wrestling. It is the steel steps.
Ooh, and this is out of 5, right?
Out of 5.
As well. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, it's definitely commonly used. That's for sure.
All right, I'll give you a supporting argument for the steel steps to be a little higher than you might put them. So, I'm a big fan of Deadlock and what their podcast does. And with Deadlock, they had a review of No Way Out. I'm sorry, not No Way Out. Extreme Rules, some Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And Big Show is competing in a match it was like a Singapore cane on a pole match. The whole card is like insane. It's like the most meme matches. And Big Show like is carrying the steel steps, and Johnny Nitro comes from the back and like he basically hits Big Show's like he hits him with like a chop block, I guess, on the below the knees. And Big Show falls to his knees and he cuts his forehead on the damn steel steps. He gave himself color, like just like shoot blood, like he didn't bleed on the damn steel steps. So steel steps
like
for
those
the
monster
creating
movies.
for
creating
movies. Yeah, dude, this freaking visual that they created of Big Show at the end of the thing was just like goated, and I think that because of that, we are going to put the steel steps. I put them at like 4, low key. Let me send you this visual right quick. Look at that, man.
Wow.
That was
steel steps.
wild.
Ouch.
I actually will agree with you on that one.
All right. Steel steps is number 4. I always remember, I think it was John Cena against Umaga. John Cena threw the steps from the ring to the ground to Umaga, and Umaga got hit in the face with that steel steps. He made it look really good.
That's when the ring was torn apart as well, like the ropes.
Yeah, I believe so.
Right? Yep, I remember. That was I actually watched a clip of that the other day on Instagram, and that was a legendary match. And it was just one of those matches where I was sure, number one, I was sure that I was going to be up there with the best, and number 2, I knew for a fact that I was going to work up there with the best. So like, it was just one of those matches nowadays that give me that reminder. That's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be up there with the best. And those 2 are definitely goated men, especially John Cena.
Oh, yes. He's a great.
He follows me on Twitter, so, he's definitely the greatest of all time on my personal list. Following me on X.
He does follow everyone, but I was hoping to follow me, but I didn't have.
Inshallah soon, brother. Inshallah soon. I think as a wrestler, it is a flex.
Yeah, I believe. Steel steps is number 4. The next object is I don't know if you guys used this back in grade school, but it is the kendo stick.
What grade school did you go to, dude?
I don't know.
Like you were using this in school? Like
No, I
as a
wasn't.
part of
No, I was.
I was about to say because when you said school, I thought you were going to mention the what do you call it, the famed cookie sheet, right?
Oh,
Side note: cookie sheet is used on Collision tomorrow. But the cookie sheet is like the weapon that you just get hit with, and it just makes the most menacing sound, but doesn't hurt at all, right?
The pan where you put like cookies and stuff on, right?
Yeah, the little baking
Or
sheet.
no, the baking sheet. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, little
I was
cookie
gonna
sheet,
say,
right?
that I kind of got a little confused. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page.
All right. So the kendo
That's
stick.
funny.
The
Kendo
kendo
stick.
stick. I think that the kendo stick is definitely underrated because it was a big part of
sure.
like ECW and the Singapore cane, on a pole match or whatever, and all this other stuff. And I think also like the aura of somebody with a kendo stick is like goated. Like Hikaru Shida has that as her signature weapon, and it's big in like Japanese wrestling and Japanese culture. So
Yeah, I was gonna say those extreme matches and also those Japanese matches. And I got something to add on when you're done bringing a point
so
up.
I'm done. I think
No,
I put
keep
this at
going.
like I think it's probably a 3 for me because it's not like
Yeah,
it's not goated, but I think it's got an aura for sure.
iconic. It's iconic in a way. But
Very
yeah, a couple side notes on that. I do have a vast connection with a lot of certain weapons, foreign objects, if you will. The first time I actually took a hit with a kendo stick, it was these guys I used to hang out with regularly. I remember one of them, he was doing it at like 90%, and we were actually making a video. He was like, "Tell everybody that you wanted this, like because he didn't want to like come off like a menace, and him being too hard or stiffing me." And next thing you know, whack! I got hit, and I remember it didn't hurt that bad, but I did take off my shirt, and someone, a friend of mine, like this was at the gym. A friend of mine actually noticed. I'm still friends with this guy to this day. He knows. He was like, Jake, what's up with that line across your back? It's like a perfect line. And then, we went to a mirror and he showed me through his, selfie camera phone. And I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, someone hit me with a kendo stick the other day. And I was like, telling him it didn't feel as bad as like they anticipated, but because I feel like you're, in pro wrestling, you tell that story of struggle, victory, and defeat. And long story short, I just think it's one of those things where you tolerate it. And another connection to that weapon is that weapon right there, the kendo stick, or as it's called in Japanese culture, the shinai. They were very, they were very set on using that weapon and using that as a sport. And I actually wanted to shout out a former teacher of mine, Carly Kendo. So he taught those 2-day 1-credit courses. And I actually attended that class in 2023. The guy was so nice. He was so cool. I learned so much from that guy just by learning how to hit the kendo stick and, hit someone with a kendo stick and whatever. He was so cool. And he also like was very understanding in terms of like how people learn differently, so it was just an overall fun experience. And I told him, wait till you see me use a kendo stick. You're going to be very pissed that I use it the wrong way, not like the sport. And if you guys want to later on, I could show you a video of me practicing with it. And it was just a lot of fun, learning from these guys. Dude. And if it wasn't for that class, I wouldn't meet one of my friends who also wants to be a pro wrestler, Colin Harrison. He's one of the other 3 guys that I train with. So definitely I have a lot of gratitude tied to that class.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Freaking love to hear it.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's gonna be a weapon I'm gonna use, no doubt.
So sounds like a 3, you said?
3 for sure.
Yeah, 3. It's iconic in its own respective way.
Great. Well, kendo stick goes to number 3. And this next one, it's pretty, it's kind of particular, I would say. It's Don Callis' screwdriver.
Hell yeah, brother. Now we're really talking, bro. This is real wrestling right here, man.
Real extreme idiotic wrestling. I might go into Jim Cornette mode, so caution on that one.
Wait a second, my friend. We are not Cornette enjoyers on this podcast.
I can't believe it! Of all the him and
Pockets. Something twinkle toes.
Oh god. Kenny Olivier.
So I don't think the screwdriver is necessarily iconic.
No.
As I think it's like it's like only iconic in like Don Callis canon, right?
Yeah.
So we have 5 still available, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think all things considered, I would probably say 5 because, like, I mean, he's the only friggin' what do you refer to him as a piece of human slime, dastardly enough to use such a menacing weapon, and therefore,
I would have said scumbag, but that works too.
I think Excalibur referred to him as a piece of human garbage or human slime or something.
That's the kindest way to put it. I'll say that.
Man. I gotta say, I'm a Don Callis mark. I am freaking mark for Don Callis. That freaking no good filth, human filth. But yeah, the screwdriver isn't that important in wrestling as a whole. I'd probably just put it at 5
for sure.
There we go. Don Callis.
I was gonna say heel for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
Don Callis' screwdriver is at number 5. Or the next one, I think the fans always chant for this.
Devon!
Get the tables.
tables.
There we go.
Okay, so this is a tricky one. Because we have 2 and 1 remaining, right?
Yeah.
I think that the table makes a really good case for number 1. Because the amount of memes that it spawned, right? The whole I am the table when the table doesn't break. There's different types of tables. There's, first of all, if you watch independent wrestling at all, they can't afford tables, so they use doors. So doors are tables. The announce table. The prayers up for the Spanish announce table. Because they always get their shit blown out.
Always.
And then the New Japan tables are like little skinny tables, right? So they're really like they're not wide at all. It's like very tiny little tables, and they are menacing. And then I think that the fans ain't chanting "We want chairs," right? No. And you can't set a chair on fire, You
can wrap it with barbed wire. That's the least
you could wrap it in barbed wire. You could wrap it in explosives, as I believe one of the Young Bucks' crazy ass matches, either Stadium Stampede or something. They had something like that, exploding chair, exploding shoe as well.
Oh man, that was insane. But yeah.
So let's just consider the big 3: tables, ladders, and chairs. Right?
Yeah.
TLC? If I had to pick just one, I'm putting tables as number 1, because ladders could still be on this list. Ladder could be 2, and chair could also be on this list. They could each interchangeably be 1 and 2. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Well, and also I wanted to throw a funny side note. This was when I was 14, about to turn 15. My dad used to live a little closer to Detroit for a couple years after my parents initially divorced. He set up a table, and the way the house was built, especially the front yard, is that there were 2 like counter type things next to the stairs. Like there was the railing, and then the flat part where, you could put a pot or, a pot with plants on display or something. And I stood on that area and my dad set up a table and I was like thinking, because I had a, WWE mark mindset that I wanted to do an elbow drop through a table or something, insane. And, Muslim boys, you call your dad Baba and, sometimes your dad would call you Baba just because, it's out of love. And he was like, Baba, don't jump off and land on the table. That's the only table I have for outside. Like, so badly I wanted to drop an elbow, and I know that when I start pro wrestling, inshallah, I will be able to do that plenty.
So I forgot to mention one point, but before I mention that, I want to say that your dad definitely saved your life. So shout out to your dad.
Well, I wouldn't have known.
We don't endorse shitty backyard wrestling on this podcast.
Please do not try it at home.
Please do not try this at home. Don't try swantoning off of your mom's dressing table onto the bed. Just don't do it. I'll say from experience, don't do it.
Someone must have gotten in trouble.
Oh yeah, got my ass beat for sure. But no, so the table also has a lot of crossover into pop culture. I mean, I don't even watch football, but look at Bill's Mafia, right?
Yes,
those guys be tweaking.
Yes.
Now they ain't using ladders, they ain't using chairs, but they do be tweaking with the damn tables. And those tables never break. The friggin' plastic Costco tables.
Dude, they hurt.
Yeah, I would rather go through a wooden table than one of those. That shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are we set at number one for tables?
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm thinking, okay, I'm expecting a friggin' twist from Abrar here, right? Because he's a carny host, all right?
Whoa.
Abrar's carnying it up. I can feel it. But I'm really hard pressed to think of what other all-encompassing wrestling weapon could be, number one or number two here. So I think we're safe at number one.
All right,
you have more experience than me, partner, so I'm not going to say anything there. It's between you two.
What do you call it? With Abrar's carny ways? Yeah, I just made that up. Abrar's not a carny at all.
Well, let's run down the list here of foreign objects. Number 5, we put the Don Callis' screwdriver. Number 4, the steel steps. Number 3, kendo stick. Number 1, we put tables. And for number 2, it is a staple gun.
Okay, this is a great list. I think we knocked this list out of the park, fellas. What do you think?
Yeah. Of all the lists, I think this one is like the greatest.
Dude. So I mean, I'm gonna sound like a freaking AEW ad here, but there's if you see the pay-per-views, they always advertise a free to play pool with DraftKings, right? So like you're not betting any actual money, but you're just predicting what's like the outcomes of the matches, and if you get them right, they give you some money, right? So for All Out this past year, one of the prompts for guessing the predictions was which weapon will be used first, and it was staple gun, steel chair, and I believe so it was 2 other weapons that were kind of obscure. And I just put steel chair to be safe because I figured they were going to build up to the friggin' staple gun spot. But these 2 sickos, they just went straight for it, man. They were stapling the shit out of each other. That was the first weapon used, so I ended up busting my predictions because I didn't predict it correctly. But that was a really interesting, prompt to even put on there. That just shows you that staple gun skyrocketed, man. That just straight given to the credit of Swerve and Hangman for sure.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Some people might not agree. Like, Mick Foley was vocal on it. He didn't really agree with making, stunts like that. But, everybody's different. I feel like, if you want to do that just to get over, that's you, man. I feel like you do kind of have to consider how it is, how it's going to be going home or, going to the next town or wrestling the next night. You just got to consider these things, and you got to consider the taxation that you're putting your body through. If you mentally believe that it was worth it, like, Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, God bless them. God bless you guys for, taking that risk just to put smiles on these fans' faces.
I would
real ones
just
for sure.
To piggyback on that, I would actually offer a counterpoint and say that I don't think the staple gun is as dangerous as, say, a table, or as dangerous
Sure.
as even the steel steps, right? Because
Mhm.
you could land wrongly on any of the two and end up like paralyzed or something, right?
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
the staple gun, unless you're shooting it in your eye or whatever, which no one is stupid enough to do that, unless you're talking like IWA
man.
Mid South or something, right? Those backyard hooligans.
I say, God bless you, God help you
I'm-
if you are, but
Yeah, I'm totally burying them. Yeah, I mean, these guys are pretty safe with it. They like the staple. I mean, I don't want to be stapled, and I've never been stapled, thank God. But I would imagine with how much like muscle mass these guys have, and a lot of the fleshy parts of the body, it's just a superficial, like even less than a piercing, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And like I mean, shit. Would I rather take a staple gun or a thumbtacks? I think I'm taking a staple gun. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
the tacks are thicker. The tacks are way thicker.
And there's more that are going to be put on you. I mean, as Chris Jericho, 69 tacks.
Did you see Chris Statlander do the freaking split on the
Yes.
thumbtacks? That shit was out of pocket. That was crazy, man. I popped
That
out
was
crazy
not
style for
expected.
that. Yeah, that was
You
crazy.
guys, I'm going to bring up an old gem, and I kind of will give props to him for, having the balls to do it. But Jeremy Borash, 2017, him and Abyss, or, Joseph Park, however you want to address him, Chris Park, like I said, whatever, versus Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews. I mean, I remember the tax there. I mean, I remember seeing JB do a splash. And he also, had the tax on him. He was cursing. He probably said every curse word in the book. And, just as a broadcaster, he didn't understand the risks. I don't think he fully understood. But if you want to know a legendary tax spot, Randy Orton with that RKO and missing and landing on the tax.
Yeah.
I mean, that face, that had to be legit pain. I mean, you can't really over-exaggerate it when you have a bunch of tax in you.
One thing that I really imagine, because the only thing that I can really relate to is the adrenaline rush that you have from like shoot wrestling. Like, I like you're almost invincible in the moment when like hundreds of people are watching. And I mean, in this case, wrestlers like pro wrestlers, rather, thousands and millions of people are watching
By
them,
the
right?
thousands, either
But
in the
like,
arena or at home.
But from my experience in high school, it was really only just hundreds, right? And to the tournament, maybe like 600-700, but that's a stretch. But so like like you feel kind of invincible, and it's really like the oh shit like locker room moment afterwards where you sit down and like you're like shit, yo, I'm like going through hell. But I kind of missed that feeling of just like, yo, screw it, I'm gonna do a bump on these tacks, right? Like, like it's just like the feeling of like I feel like I can relate to them doing that because I can kind of know what's going through their head when they're like, yo, I gotta perform now, it's now or never, right? And my life is so mundane now, athletically and like physically, that like I kind of miss that like risk taking kind of feeling, and I can see why they do decide to do that because like, yo, like, it's for the love of the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's dope. It's dope.
For sure.
I got hot glue gun once in the neck in middle school. I think we were like, I forgot what class it was, but some kid, I always remember his name, but I won't say it. But he hot glue gun my neck. I got really pissed. I didn't tell the teacher, but I wish I did.
Dude, I would have hit him with a friggin' low blow that guy, bro. What are you talking about, man?
I was looking at him. I was looking at him. He was laughing. I was like, I should have done something.
I would have did to him what Rock did to Cody Rhodes before WrestleMania. I mean,
I would have did to him what I don't know who did it to Ricochet, but he got like cannon murdered right before before going to AEW.
Oh right, yeah, Braun Breaker. He kind of killed him on the parking lot.
Damn, yo. Rest in peace, WWE Ricochet.
Absolutely. No. Well, that was blind rankings. That was a lot of fun. Guys,
I agree.
Azam, where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter. I actually recently changed my Twitter bio, my Twitter to be a bit more, all inclusive when it comes to wrestling. My Twitter is no longer wrestling drone. It is wrestling Bhai, wrestling BHAI.
I love that.
For the non Urdu or Hindi speaking fans, Bhai just
Like
is
me.
just it's a term for like you refer to like your older brother. Like you would say their name and then like Bhai as a sign of respect. Not even your older brother, but like anyone that's like older than you, like that's within brother age, right? Like that's just a term of endearment. So I am the internet Bhai of pro wrestling.
I like that.
I like to think so.
I respect
like to think
that.
myself with that.
For sure.
And Jake Prince, where can they find you, man?
All of my socials are all the same. So it's at Real Jake Prince on Instagram, on X, YouTube, Twitch. Did I say Snapchat already? I think I did. Oh yeah. Well, all socials with users at Real Jake Prince. Oh, Threads. I mean, apparently that's a replacement Twitter, but I don't know. I digress on it. But yeah, follow me on all my socials at Real Jake Prince. Chances are I probably have the same ones you do. I mean, there's too many to list.
Absolutely. Well, you can follow this podcast on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. I'm also on Instagram called Brown Boy Wonder Podcast. I post clips there. Check out there. And for that, what's the final word, guys?
The final word is this a meme that I'm not aware of, or what is this? What is this? The final word?
I don't know what to say at the end of this. So what should we say?
We're just gonna say Adam Cole, baby.
Adam Cole, baby.
I just gotta say, Abrar, thank you for having me on again. It was a lot of fun. I dare say more fun than the last time, even though I'm not gonna knock last time because it was just about me. But thank you for having me on. Viewers, thank you guys for watching. Without you guys, without you fans, there'd be no us.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate you guys, for some of my family and friends watching. I sure as hell appreciate you guys for supporting a family member, friend, whatever relationship I have with you. And please, reach out, and tell me something that, is your favorite thing about me and in the business. And, I'd love to hear it. And if any podcasters out there want to have me on, please hit me up. Sometimes I'm hitting up other people to do podcasts with. I have more lined up. Just pay attention. You never know where I'm going to land. You never know where I'm going to see you. Just be prepared to see me. And I'll see you guys down the road.
Yes, sir. Jake
Prince, brother.
Jake Prince, baby.
Jake Prince, baby. He's already natural at promos, man. Bookers, book this guy, man. Come on.
Right now.
What are we waiting for, yo?
Do it.
Right after I train with Dustin Rhodes.
Do it.
I gotta say, I dream of a world where Abrar can be the Stokely Hathaway to Jake Prince.
Yes, I'll be your halfway man right now. I'll be your guy.
Everybody's trying to bid for it, so hey, I love it.
Alrighty then. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow.